Hi friends, I'm Katie.
And I'm Lauren. And welcome to Okay, But Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today we're recapping and chatting about Bob's Burgers, Season 1, Episode 3, Sacred Cow, and Season 1, Episode 4, Sexy Dance Fighting. So, Sacred Cow is about when a controversial documentary filmmaker places a live cow outside of the family restaurant to make a statement. Bob is livid when it starts to scare away customers. However, to everyone's surprise, Bob becomes attached to the cow and treats the cow like a member of the family.
Oh, Melissa.
100,000 burgers.
Woo! My very first note is the tear off paper.
Yep.
She's like, we grossly miscalculated how long it was going to take to get to 100,000 burgers.
Yeah, that one's yeah. So, what did you think?
That was a blast from the past.
Do you like Melissa?
I did like Melissa. I one of my notes is just Melissa, all in caps.
Melissa is wonderful. With the
singular
udder.
I tried
the singular udder.
No, I didn't know that most beef was made from steers. I don't know why I assumed that they also use dairy cows for that, but I guess that makes more sense.
I think dairy cows eventually go down that road, but
probably.
I think for actual meat, it's mostly steers.
Yeah, I did not know that. This whole episode just reminded me of the Simpsons episode where Lisa becomes a vegetarian because they watched a clip in school about basically the slaughter process for cattle, and at the very end you just have Ralph Wiggum going, "I'm going to Bovine University."
Oh my.
It's that whole character is a non sequitur, not that this is anything to do with the episode, but that just reminded me so much of that scene. I'm just like,
so you got the lovely introduction of Randy. Randy is our trust fund baby extraordinaire. And he does return from time to time, always with a different niche. So he is a trust fund baby, and so that's why you see him making a documentary, because he's got time and money on his hands. But Randy is played by Paul F. Tompkins, and apparently he has been in BoJack Horseman and American Dad. And Melissa is Todd Barry, who was also in Squidbillies, which I only know of this show against my will. But because Squidbillies is an interesting time.
I was going to say, I don't think I've ever heard of that show.
Watch one episode and tell me what you think.
Okay.
Don't keep going.
Sounds good.
That's all I gotta say. But so they've done mostly voice acting from what I could see for both of them. But those were the main things. I was like, okay, these make sense for also coming and saying, yeah, I'll come do a voice for Bob's Burgers. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But Randy's fun, and him and Bob always going back and forth is really enjoyable because Randy just continues to argue.
Yeah, I can see that. I think I wrote down, and this is why people hate documentary filmmakers.
Yep. Well, probably because they leave a cow out in the rain.
I mean, yeah, there is that. The cow, I loved Melissa, I will be honest.
I love Melissa.
I thought, I don't know what pronouns we should use for this cow.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. I want to say she, but that's not entirely accurate.
Well, so within the fandom itself, we have one of the biggest things that a lot of people talk about is if Bob is bi.
Mm-hmm.
And for some of us, this is the first episode that we're like, hey, Bob's bi. And yes, I know I'm talking about a cow.
I mean, I literally wrote Bob kissing a cow, a true gay icon.
Exactly. So this is the first time we see an insight into Bob's sexuality. I love that they started it so early because there are other episodes that you're like, Bob is just the sweetest little bi man and Linda's the supportive wife. Mm-hmm. Point blank. And it's wonderful.
Bi spouse energy.
She does. But him having this relationship, of course, with the cow, knowing he makes burgers, it gets better though. Because did you pay attention this time
to some of the puns, or just in general
to
the
puns?
I wrote a few of them down.
Okay.
I wrote down dial M for mooter.
Yep.
Mission accomplished, and then I just wrote A for effort.
Comes with corn salsa. It's pun on the phrase mission accomplished.
Yeah. I think those are the two that I wrote down, but I did also, at some point at the very beginning, I wrote, has anyone done a count of how many puns they do per minute?
I don't think anyone's done that. Is that something you're going to start doing?
I don't think I have the energy to do that. I think that's something that
the energy to do that.
I think you need me for Once Upon a Time. I think maybe this is more a thing for you.
Oh no.
To start figuring
out
a
lot of puns.
The number of puns per like runtime of an episode just to get an average. Because there's so many of them.
You got like 2 out of like 5 or 6 that I've got. Of course, the Exterminator Van's still the same. Mm-hmm. Rats all folks. That sadly is the same for the entirety of the first season, but I'm really excited when we get more of those because there's some really good ones. Yeah. The vacant store says building for rent, and the secondary sign says crime scene, do not cross. And there's crime scene tape everywhere. But also on the banner that says building for rent, it also says crime scene special. Because it's a crime scene special. The rent is deducted, you know what I mean?
Yes. Less rent. Yes.
Another one of the burgers was Pepper Don't Preach burger. Papa Don't Preach, Madonna. And of course, the last burger that we all actually heard about, the Rest in Peas burger.
The Rest in Peas.
Because Melissa sadly did not stay with us, and he wanted to have them. Yeah, I'm still, Rest in Peace.
Melissa.
I had a moment, I'm like, what do we call this cow?
I don't know. I think I wrote down, this guy is the worst animal control person ever. Yeah, he very much is.
Yep, that's accurate. Very accurate.
The petting zoo people. I wrote down at the very end in all caps, the petting zoo people. It's always the petting zoo people.
It's always the petting zoo. Oh my goodness.
But I did write down earlier that the lady gives me the lady from Tiger King vibes, but I couldn't remember her name.
Carol Baskin.
I
never
watched
watched
Carol
that.
Baskin vibes.
I know.
Oh, really?
I only know it because everyone was talking about it, and I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah. For some reason, she gave me Carol Baskin vibes. I don't know why.
Good to know, because I have no idea. I know nothing about Carol Baskins.
I don't recommend watching Tiger King. I don't recommend it.
Don't do it.
No.
If you didn't do it in that like couple of months that everybody watched it, don't do it now.
Exactly. 0 out of 10. Would not recommend.
I only have one fun fact.
Okay.
About this one, though.
Okay.
Can cows walk downstairs?
I don't know. Can they?
Cows can walk downstairs. They just avoid the situation as much as possible, as they are not evolutionarily prepared for such steep slopes and foreign leg movements. So while they can, technically, and do have the ability to, they don't like to.
Okay.
So Linda pushing the cow down the stairs could also very much be real.
Yeah. I wrote down.
I just want to know how Bob got him up the stairs.
Yeah, that's important. I don't know. I said for the mattress, I said that's very innovative of Linda, mattress surfing like Queen Clarice. It gave me Princess Diaries 2.
Oh yeah, it did. Melissa has a lot of skill there.
They absolutely do.
Because, why would Randy leave the cow out in the rain if he's advocating for the cow? But no, it's a storm. Exactly. Leave the cow out in the rain. What?
Well, I guess it shows the hypocrisy, I guess, of the people that they want to make a statement, but they don't actually care.
Which makes the PFETA even funnier in the previous episode.
Yeah.
It works on so many levels.
Mm-hmm.
So apart from that, what else do you got for me? You have any questions?
I don't have too many questions. I at one point I went down a minor rabbit hole for myself. Because I was curious how much 4-bedroom apartments in roughly that area would cost.
You were not the first to do this.
They're expensive. It was a couple to rent. It'd be a couple thousand. So my guess is they have to own the building.
So, you will find more about that later on. They do rent.
Okay.
Louise's room is essentially a closet. It's so small.
Okay.
But Louise wanted her own room. So it's technically a 3-bedroom apartment, and Louise has a very large closet, is what it says within the show.
Okay.
But no, you will find out more about the owner of the actual establishment in the future.
Okay.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck with that. Yeah, well, so, as like I went down a route of like 4-bedroom apartments for rent on the Jersey Shore is basically what I kind of did.
Yeah.
As a basic area, and I was like a couple $1,000s a month for 4-bedroom
Plus
apartment.
you add in that they technically leased the restaurant.
Yeah.
So they have to pay rent on both.
100,000 burgers doesn't seem like enough to make that lucrative unless he's charging a lot.
There's been a lot of people that have like tried to do the math and see and figure out how much Bob technically does tend to make with the prices everything is set at. No one knows how they're surviving. No one knows.
Okay, good to know. Good to know that I'm not the only one that has gone down that rabbit hole.
Because by the math, they should not be able to afford what they're doing.
No, not at all. No.
Unless Linda's doing something on the side. I don't know what's going on here.
I mean, knowing her, probably.
Probably. She could be in the back alley.
She could be supplementing something. Well, you know.
Supplementing?
Somehow.
It's a good word for that.
Supplementation. I also wrote down, I can't deny that touching meat in plastic packaging is very satisfying.
It is?
I mean, I guess people that have like touch aversions, like it's better than touching it without the plastic packaging. I can't say if that specific kind of beef, like the USDA grade, whatever it was, I can't say if that specifically is satisfying to touch inside plastic packaging. But like, I if I don't have to touch raw meat with my bare hands, fair. I won't. So
the other things happen with meat in the future, so just be used to meat as well. I can't wait till you get to that one now. I keep thinking of all the things you're going to get to see, and I'm like, oh, you're going to like this. I hope. Because I will continue to say this show, the first season, is the most crass of them all. So if you're not prepared to be a little bit offended, I don't recommend watching.
I watched The Simpsons. Like, let's be real here. I'm used to every group possible being offended.
I've watched Squidbillies, so I've seen every type of person be offended. Squidbillies, oh god, just tell me what you think.
Eventually I will watch that. My last, like, minorly unhinged note is just, he's not wrong. Infrared is cooler.
Infrared is cooler. I fully supported that endeavor.
I love seeing those bits in anything where it's just like, it's night vision.
But like, also Bob fully being fine with his children attacking strangers. Like, go attack the old people.
That was part of the plan. That was the distraction.
Oh, the other one too, when Melissa starts peeing in the living room and Jean's just like, let's pee on the floor. I'm like, that is such a little boy like thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. And then just also Louise trying to communicate or trying to make it seem like the cow is communicating is exactly what I would expect out of that character.
Yeah, she does stuff like that. Still not the weirdest thing she's done though. She's done some other weird things too.
I look forward to that.
It also just shows how sweet and naive Tina is. Mm-hmm. And to have a younger sibling like Louise, I'm so sorry. Poor Tina. I don't know how she does it.
I don't know.
So Sacred Cow, I want to know, what did you do?
Okay. I gave it 7s across the board. I gave it 7s for plot, character, and personal, because this was, like I said, my concern with like so wide scale is if I'm going to be like super generous with things, but I think 7 is good. It's a good episode. You see a lot of character in Bob and kind of how he just is. I feel like in this episode is just his like personality. You get a lot of his personality in this one. The plot for all these is chaos. I'm assuming that's going to be a theme going forward.
Chaotic also, puns, I think, is the ongoing theme.
Yeah, chaotic puns. Given what the next episode we're talking about is, I think chaos is a good way of describing this show.
It's a common theme.
And just again, personally, like it was good. I enjoyed it. Like it's not like I can't tell you exactly if this is how this ranks compared to the other ones. I think this is about the same, if not a little bit lower. Mm-hmm. But not by a lot. Okay,
it's not too bad. I have 10, 9, and 9 because I love this episode.
Yeah, that's fair.
Randy kind of grows on you a little bit.
Okay.
And so for me, like, Randy does not annoy me as much as, like, Mr. Frond does. Mr. Frond is, like, the one that annoys me the most. Randy I can tolerate. Personal and plot are both 9s because I enjoy the plot. I love the little bit of insight we get to Bob's sexuality. And yes, I know I'm talking about a cow. And Melissa is just such a fun character because so much goes on with this cow. I mean, they glued a wig to its poor head. This poor cow, and I love this cow. And then for the cow to drop dead.
Little cow heart attack.
Cow heart attack. So I had to go 9 on character, not non-character, I'm sorry, on personal, because I'm just like, R.I.P. Melissa. I feel bad for Melissa. Melissa.
Rest in peace.
Sexy dance fighting. When Tina develops a crush on the new martial arts instructor in town, she joins the class and ends up shirking her responsibilities at the restaurant. Bob finds out what's going on and decides to take matter into his own hands.
Yeah, my first note on this one's just, what's wrong with Tina? Puberty. Same, babe. Same.
I wrote down that this is our first Tina in puberty episode. That's purely about her being in puberty. So that's funny.
Let's see. This one, I don't have as many notes for this one. I think because there was so much going on with it, I was like just watching it and I'm like, wait, I gotta actually like
pay attention.
Pay attention, yeah. So we get ranch dressing is not exotic.
No, it is not. Ranch dressing is not exotic.
Not exotic, especially not for New Jersey. No. I mean, I know we don't know for a fact, but I'm operating under what we said last time with it's Jersey Shore seems to make the most sense.
That's essentially where most people believe they're at.
I'm with Jean. It's a tambourine.
It's a tambourine.
It's a tambourine. I don't care what any of the videos say. That's a surprisingly high quality orientation video.
Right?
Like, there was so many.
Do we have another trust fund, baby?
Possibly. Just Brazil. Just with everything he was doing. Why doesn't this guy have nipples?
What?
I don't. The animation of him. I mean, maybe I wasn't watching closely enough, but I don't think that. What was the instructor's name?
Gyro.
I don't think Gyro had nipples in his character design.
Let me see. Images. Where are his nipples?
I don't think he has any.
He has no nipples.
He has no nipples.
I had to check. What? You noticed something I had no idea about. He has no nipples.
Every once in a while I will find these minute things.
Wow. That's hilarious to me. I'm sorry. I can't tell you how many times I've watched this episode specifically and other Gyro episodes because you're going to get more of him. And I'm like, how have I never seen this? So do you know what capoeira is? It's a real thing.
Yeah, it's real. I don't know what it actually looks like, but I do know that it's a real martial art.
Afro-Brazilian cultural practice. It's simultaneously a fight and a dance that can be interpreted as a tradition, a sport, or even an art form. Capoeira players form a circle, and at the center of which two players engage with one another. So that's the other fun thing about Bob's is they like to pull in real life things. Mm-hmm. We have actually watched the show and they've brought something up that they're doing within it, and me and my husband are like, "Is this real?" We'll look it up. Like, oh, it's real. This is actually a thing that people do, and it's actually kind of cool because then every time you watch a Bob's episode, you're like, what's real and what isn't?
Well, I like that because I think this was a comedian that I watched a while ago that they would say these things are too stupid to make up. But I like the idea that there are some things that we put in animation that are too bizarre to not be real.
Yeah. I wrote that Tino being obsessed with Gyro is still funny to me to this day. I was watching the episode and giggling along with it. It's still funny how, because all I can remember is being, 13-year-old girl. Only for me, it was men and women. I was always crushing on either man, women, both. Just the chaotic bisexual. But you still remember those first crushes from when you were younger. They're very strong. Oh, yeah. They're very it's so much fun watching Tina because you're just I was that. Mm-hmm. I love seeing more of the family dynamic between them all. They're all dysfunctional, and it's just a wonderful experience watching how Bob and Linda are actually really good parents in my eyes because they like actively just allow their kids to be who they are, and there is no judgment. Gene does some of the weirdest stuff in existence, and Bob may tell him to stop sometimes if he's going too far, but Linda like fully supports everybody in their endeavors, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, that was something I wrote down. I was like, honestly, isn't having a special interest in physical activity something a parent should be encouraging?
Yeah.
Like, I want to say I tried like taekwondo and karate multiple times. You know, I was in every sport possible. I think my issue, so I was in soccer. Yeah, I think I did soccer for 2 years. I did softball for 3 years, but I got hurt every single season. I just got hit. I got hit very frequently. Only one of them was my fault. And then I think I did basketball for like 6 years, but that one I can attest to my best friend being on the team and her dad being the coach.
This episode had a lot going on because you had Bob freaking out, which in reality it's Bob freaking out that his daughter's growing up and realizing that, which was really wholesome. You got Gyro just being an asshole. And Tina just being Tina. And then, of course, Linda being angry.
Linda's line of Tina's karate concert is the most mom response ever.
And then when she was trying to pronounce Troca de... Wait, I can't do it either.
I don't even know.
Troca de Cordius? That's exactly how Linda sounds when she says it. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm butchering it. I'm so sorry. But her even trying to pronounce that. Did you pay attention to the puns on this one?
I didn't actually. This one I was more focused on why the man didn't have nipples.
You were really confused about nipples this time around.
I really was.
Of all the things.
Really was.
So the vacant store, because pest control van's the same. Rats all folks. The vacant store says, Meth-I-Can, a methadone clinic. It says, Meth-I-Can.
That's amazing.
Play on the phrase, yes, I can. We got 4 different burgers of the day in this one.
Oh, okay.
We got Forget About It burger, which makes me really feel like they probably are near New Jersey.
Probably.
Chevra Which Way But Loose burger, a pun on the 1978 film Every Which Way But Loose. The Roquefort Files burger, a pun on the TV series The Rockford Files. And then the last one was These Collards Don't Run burger, a pun on the phrase These colors don't run.
Yep. I remember that one.
I remember that one. They had a lot of burgers in this one, which sucks because like eventually we get episodes that my husband, I told you this is his thing, he watches for these. He may not even pay attention to the plot, but he is watching to see what these burger names are. And he's pointed out a few times there was no burger in the episode. And I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, we'd not physically be able to see it. If it is out there and it's like a thing that they didn't actually put into the show and had planned, he pays very close attention to that.
That's attention to detail.
So we will very close attention to it. That's just my husband.
Yeah. I love it.
So what did you think about Bob's 4:30 meeting? Was it 4:30?
Yeah, I think it was a 4:30 meeting. I understand the need for structure because I think actually physically wise, having those meetings at the same time every day is actually, I think, better for you. Yes. But Linda's thing of just have little ones throughout the day is a little more my speed.
I wrote that down. Little meetings throughout the day. I wrote it down.
Yeah, little meetings throughout the day is a little more realistic for someone that has chronic illness issue.
Don't we both have like pretty bad digestive issues?
I think we do.
Because you have your thing and I don't have a gallbladder.
Yeah.
I think I also match with little meetings throughout the day.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense. But relatable, but like I do understand that he wants his daughter to stick to the commitment that she made. But I think that might be when I wrote down the having a special interest in physical activity should be something that you're encouraging. Right above that I wrote, so you pooped your pants, who hasn't?
Seriously, if you've reached it to the age of 25 and you haven't shit yourself, you're lying.
Exactly. Like, completely. It happens to the best of us.
The things we don't realize we're actually going to talk about.
Yeah, right.
This took a turn.
Yeah.
So Gyro was played by John Glasser. So he was in like Don't Look Up and Baby Mama. If you haven't watched Don't Look Up, please watch it. That one's good.
Okay.
Be prepared for an existential crisis though when watching it.
Okay.
It's I think it's considered satire. I don't know. Just tell me what you think, because I'm just gonna. Apparently, we're gonna make each other watch even more things.
Will do.
Apart from just this, that's just what happens.
That's just what happens. That's just what happens.
Any other notes on Gyro?
Not on Gyro, although I wrote down at the very end, martial arts dudes are just always jerks.
Why are they always jerks?
They're always jerks in any piece of media. They're always the villain of that story.
It's like a god complex.
Yeah. Other notes, I think a couple more that I wrote down that I haven't mentioned was just Louise giving Bob more and more sharp objects. But then eventually I went, what would he do with a whisk? Like, of all the sharp objects that she gives him, eventually she just puts a whisk on the counter.
Somebody.
I guess. You could whisk somebody. I'm sure. And then lastly, when, he's I guess, was he not talking to Tina or whatever, and so like Louise goes out to like get her back, and she just goes like, he's like, go and never come back. I just wrote down like, Louise,
get out of here,
run away and never return.
And it comes right back inside. Couldn't be helped. And of course Bob is still like, thank you, Louise.
Yep. She's gone.
I love it though, because it like allows the kids to be so creative.
Yeah. No, it does. He's clearly a very supportive father, and I do agree that a lot of this episode is kind of him being a little bit afraid of Tina growing up and kind of not being at home anymore. I still stand by. I do think that there's something against a 13-year-old working the grill. I still think that's not legally allowed. That will continue. Many child labor laws have been broken in this show.
Child labor laws.
But I understand the mentality of kind of being afraid to kind of like let go with it, but ultimately like he does want to protect her, because the thing is it's not a fair situation for her there. So
yeah, it's definitely a situation, like seeing it from a parent point of view too, is I want my kids to fulfill their responsibilities and the promises they make, but at the same time you have to give your kids space to do other things apart from only what you want them to do. And it's not easy. It's actually really hard. But it's just a part of parenting that you probably won't experience.
No,
child free by choice.
Yeah, we've got the two dynamics of the parent and the child free by choice chaos monkey.
Chaos monkey, okay. This got more fun.
That's chaos monkey is a phrase that I use for characters on other shows, and I've just now adopted it for myself.
So we have the Dragon Queen and the Chaos Monkey?
I think that's fairly accurate.
So who is your favorite character so far? Because you've actually been introduced to quite a few characters in 4 episodes.
Yeah. I think Linda is still in that top spot. She hasn't quite moved yet. And I will admit, like I think I said last time we talked about Bob's, that I said Louise is annoying, which therefore means she will be my favorite character. I think she's already there at number 2.
Ooh.
I like the chaos that she brings.
Who's your least favorite so far?
Probably Gene.
That's a common answer.
Like, he's very much, like you said, he's very much an 11-year-old boy. And it's just, I mean, like, I understand, like, fart jokes are funny. I do understand. I give him props for his sampling abilities, because I will say that, like, in Sacred Cow, I think I wrote down a note about like the dog bark. I'm like, nope, good timing. I appreciate this. So, but I think right now, of the core people we've met so far, I think he's my least favorite.
The usual consensus with like people in the group and the fandom, because there's actually a really big Bob's Burgers Facebook group that I'm still in. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. There's so many people in it, and it's really fun because everybody talks about the show and everything else. And the common consensus is the most disliked characters that I personally have seen are Gene and Teddy. Okay. Which makes sense, because they're actually, I think, pretty much written to be a little bit annoying. Yeah. Like, you kind of love them for who they are, but they do tend to be, like, a little bit annoying, where you're just, I've had enough of you. Give me the rest.
Exactly. Yeah, I see that.
I think that's all the notes I had, though. So what's the score? Yeah. What's your score on...
Yeah, our score is for sexy dance fighting.
That one.
This one got... I think it's sexy dance fighting. I gave it a 6 for plot, an 8 for character, and a 7 for personal. So like kind of 7 for personal. Like I enjoyed it for what it was, and there was many relatable parts of it. I think plot wise, maybe because I'm coming at this from like I see what he's trying to do, but like let the kid be a kid thing. I'm like, I guess maybe because I'm not coming from the parental side of it, I am getting a little frustrated with Bob in this. So plot wise, and like this is a very formulaic episode. Like we see this in a lot of sitcoms, right? So it's like, I'm gonna go with that's why I gave it a 6. An 8 for character because we saw a lot about the characters, and like we got a lot more into Tina. We got a lot into her dynamic with her parents and where she's coming from. So I think that. So it's got a 21 out of 30.
Okay. Do you feel like Bob redeemed himself?
I think so. I did like that
his actions.
I do. I like that he in the end did try to fight for his daughter's honor.
That's I think my favorite part actually. And then so I had for sexy dance fighting, I had a 9 on character. Gyro's not as annoying as Mort. That's the common theme for me.
Okay.
If he's not Mort. Gyro is not as annoying as Mr. Frond. I was wrong. He's not as annoying as Mr. Frond, so we're pretty good there.
Okay.
Personal and plot. Okay, so plot was 7 for me. I enjoy this episode, but it's not exactly like I have to watch it. Gyro, it introduces Gyro, which we do see again eventually, but it's not my favorite.
I feel that.
And personal's still an 8, so it's not the worst, but it's also not the best. But still, for me, that's a 24.
Okay,
so I am chaotically rating this.
I think that's kind of the point of the numbers. Is it's numerical chaos. Because we'll get to see the averages like when everything is all said and done. But ultimately the reasons behind them, it's chaos. This is what happens when
the entire show is chaos, and I absolutely love it.
Like this is what happens when you give the chaos monkey access to numbers.
Does watching the episodes you've seen, does it make you want to keep watching?
Oh, absolutely. Like watching.
Okay.
Like watching the shows further this week of recording, and like both the Bobs and the Once Upon a Time stuff. I mean, it was such a reprieve for my brain last week, especially the Bobs episodes. Like I can see like why people get so invested in this show, because it is just when there's so much else going on, you can watch this show that's going to be mildly chaotic, extremely entertaining, and it's just gonna like kind of calm your brain down. I absolutely see why people love this, and
it's a calming chaos. It really is.
Exactly. It's controlled chaos, and I am becoming one of those people that is very much looking forward to watching my weekly controlled chaos.
I think that's why I still watch as much as I do. Is I could be going through the worst thing possible and dealing with all this stuff, like being a mom and everything. But when I do finally get to sit down and turn Bob's Burgers on, it's like a breath of fresh air. I get to relax. It's almost Pavlovian. Pavlovian. Is that right? Pavlovian. I was missing a V. It's almost Pavlovian at this point. You turn it on, and I'm just like happy. I can't help it, but I'm okay with that, and that's why it's my comfort show.
Exactly. Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Once Upon a Time, episode 103, Snow Falls. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. And follow us on OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Katie and Lauren and edited by Katie.